hits, but I've been translating his poetry, which is kind of where he started with his work, and not where he ended up. So there's some really interesting things that go on in his poetry that influence his fiction writing. This bit that I'm going to read is actually one long poem, and I had to excerpt it a little bit, and it may not make complete sense because I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the general narrative is that there's an author in Barcelona and Catalonia, and he is writing sort of almost like a screenplay. And there's the protagonist, and there's the stranger, who's this woman. And it's about their relationship and the end of their relationship. And basically the way the poem works is he goes over and over the same scenes and reworks them and fragments them. And so you'll hear some repetition of that, but as I said, this is just an excerpt. A woman, I ought to say a stranger, who caresses you, teases you, is sweet with you, and brings you to the edge of a precipice. There, the protagonist gasps or goes pale, as if he were inside a kaleidoscope and caught sight of the eye watching him. Colors arranging themselves in a geometry far from anything you're ready to accept as okay. And so begins autumn between the Oñar River and the hill of Las Pedreras. The stranger is sprawled on the bed, passing through loveless scenes, smooth bodies, sadomasochistic toys, pills, and grimaces of unemployed. You get to the point you call autumn and discover the stranger. In the bedroom, in addition to the reflection that sucks up everything, you notice stones, yellow wreaths, sand, hair on pillows, abandoned pajamas. Then it all disappears. This could be hell for me. The kaleidoscope moves with the serenity and torpor of the days. For her, in the end, there was no hell. She simply sidestepped living here. Simple solutions guide our actions. Sentimental education has only one motto: don't suffer. The thing moving away can be called desert, rock that looks like a man, the tectonic thinker. She says she's okay. You say you're okay and think she must really be okay, and that you really are okay. Her expression is gorgeous, as if she were seeing for the first time the scenes she'd wished for her whole life. Then comes the rotten breath, eyes hollow even though she claims, while you keep quiet as in a silent film, that hell can't be the world she lives in. Cut it out with this bullshit text, she screams. The kaleidoscope assumes the look of solitude. Crack goes your heart. It's hardly surprising that the author's room is full of elusive posters. Naked, he paces around, contemplating the peeling walls, where he begins to make out signs, nervous drawings, out-of-context phrases. Ringing in the kaleidoscope like an echo are the voices of all those he used to be, and this he calls his patience. Patience in Girona before the Third War, a benign autumn. Her scent barely lingers in the room. The perfume was called Fleeting Butcher Shop. A famous doctor had operated on the left eye. The real situation. I was alone in my house. I was 28. I'd just come back from a summer spent working outside the Providence, and the rooms were full of cobwebs, and I didn't have a job, and my money, really stretching it, would last me 4 months. And I had no hope of finding another job. At the police station, they had renewed my visa for 3 months, not authorized to work in Spain. I didn't know what to do. It was a benign autumn. 2 in the morning and a blank screen. My protagonist is sitting in an armchair. In one hand, a cigarette, and in the other, a cup of cognac. He's carefully reworking some scenes. There. The stranger sleeps with perfect calm. Then she rubs his shoulders. Then she says not to walk her to the station. There you pick up a signal, the tip of the iceberg. The stranger assures him she hadn't planned on sleeping with him. Friendship, her smile now enters the wrinkle zone, doesn't presuppose any sort of hell. It's odd. From here it seems my protagonist is swatting flies with his left hand. Surely I could transform his angst into fear if he were to lift his gaze and see in the decayed rafters a rat's beady eyes fixed on him. Crack. His heart. Patience like a gray tape inside the kaleidoscope that you play again and again. And if the protagonist were to speak of happiness, does happiness begin in his 28-year-old body? What's there behind when there's something behind? Call the boss and tell him it started snowing. There's not much more to add to autumn in Girona. A girl showering, her skin pink from hot water, wrapped around her hair like a turban, an old discolored towel. Suddenly, while she puts on lipstick in front of the mirror, she looks at me, I'm behind, and says, there's really no need to walk her to the station. I'm replaying that same scene now, though no one's in front of the mirror. Paradise at times appears in the general arrangement of the kaleidoscope, a vertical structure covered in gray blotches. If I close my eyes, I'll see dancing in my head and the reflections of helmets, the quaking of a field of spears, that thing you call jet. Also, if I cut the dramatic effects, I'll see myself walking through the plaza by the cinema toward the post office, where I won't find any letters. A person caresses you, teases you, is sweet with you, and then never speaks to you again. What do you mean, the third war? The stranger loves you and then recognizes the slaughterhouse situation. She kisses you and then says that life's about moving forward, acquiring nourishment, and looking for more. It's funny, in the room, in addition to the reflection that sucks up everything, and hence the immaculate grave, there are children's voices, questions that arrive as if from far away. And behind the questions, you might have guessed, are nervous laughs, blocks that are crumbling, but that first blurt out their message as best they can. Take care. Bye. Take care. Now you're slipping toward the plan. You arrive at the river. There you light a cigarette. At the end of the road on the corner, there's a telephone booth, and that's the only light at the end of the road. You call Barcelona. The stranger picks up the phone. She says she won't go. After a few seconds, during which you say okay, and she echoes okay, you ask why. She says that Sunday she's going to Alea, and you say you'll call her next time you're in Barcelona. You hang up, and a cold air enters the booth out of nowhere when you think the following. It's like an autobiography. Now you're slipping through the winding streets. Girona can be so bright at night, you think. Just two sweepers chatting outside a closed bar, and at the end of the road the lights of a car disappearing. I shouldn't drink, you think. I shouldn't sleep. I shouldn't do anything that might disturb my focus. Now you're stopped near the river, on the bridge built by Eiffel, hidden in the iron framework. You touch your face. On the other bridge, the bridge called De los Labios, you hear footsteps, but when you look for the person, there's no one there. Just the rustle of someone descending the stairs. You think, therefore the stranger was like this and that, and therefore the only unstable one is me. Therefore I've had a magnificent dream. The dream to which you're referring just crossed in front of you, in the subtle moment when you were acknowledging a truce, and so became transparent briefly, like the lawyer of glass. And it consisted of the apparition on the other end of the bridge of a crowd of eunuchs, merchants, professors, housewives, naked and holding their testicles and sliced off vaginas in the palms of their hands. What a strange dream, you said. No doubt you want to cheer yourself up. Reality. I'd returned to Girona alone after 3 months of work. I had no chance of getting another job, and I didn't really want to anyway. The house, in my absence, had filled with cobwebs, and things seemed to be covered by a green film. I felt empty, no desire to write, and when I tried, unable to sit still for more than an hour in front of a blank sheet of paper. The first few days I didn't even bathe, and soon enough, I got used to the spiders. My activities were reduced to going down to the post office, where on rare occasion I found a letter from my sister, from Mexico, and going to the store to buy scraps for the dog. Reality. In a way I couldn't explain, the house seemed touched by something it didn't have when I left. Things seemed clearer. For example, my armchair seemed clear, shiny, and the kitchen, though full of dust stuck in crusty grease, gave the impression of whiteness, as if you could see through it. See what? Nothing. More whiteness. In the same way, things were more distinguishable. The kitchen was the kitchen and the table just the table. Someday I'll try to explain it. But then, 2 days after returning, if I set my hands or elbows on the table, I experienced a sharp pain, as if I were biting something beyond repair. Call the boss and tell him it started snowing. On the screen, the protagonist's back. He's sitting on the floor, his knees lifted. In front of him, as if he'd placed them there to study, we see a kaleidoscope, a fogged-up mirror, a stranger. The kaleidoscope observed. Passion is geometry. Rhombuses, cylinders, pulsing angles. Passion is geometry plunging into the abyss, observed from the depths of the abyss. The stranger observed. Breasts pink from hot water. It's 6 in the morning, and the man's voice off screen is still saying he'll walk her to the train. It's not necessary, she says, her body turning its back to the camera. With precise gestures, she shoves her pajamas in her bag, closes it, grabs a mirror, looks at herself. There, the viewer will get a glimpse of her face, eyes open wide, terrified. She opens her bag, puts in the mirror, closes the bag, fades out. This hope isn't something I've sought, this silent wing of the unknown university.